Hey, I'm Officer Blake Page, part of the Public Affairs team at CMPD, and today we've got a case we'd like to highlight. Detective Tuttle, Tuttle, is here to talk about it. And go ahead and let him step on up.
Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate your time. What I want to talk to you about today is a 38-year-old missing individual. He was reported missing to us on July 3rd. So the background of it is that Mr. Devray Nelson has been staying with his brother in an apartment over at Phillips Place. And what he does daily is he usually goes out, rides his bike around the neighborhood and around the area. And so on the 2nd, July 2nd, Mr. Devray Nelson left his residence at about 1400 hours on his bike, and he didn't return. His brother became extremely concerned and dialed 911, got the police out there. We did a search of the area and of the complex and didn't turn up him or his bike. After that, we learned and had a confirmed sighting of Mr. Nelson at the intersection of Barkley Downs and Fairview Road. From there, and that was about 30 minutes after he left his apartment. Mr. Nelson hasn't been seen or heard from by his family or friends since that time. Mr. Nelson suffers from some cognitive issues and medical issues, has a diminished mental capacity, and he really does need his family to help him out and to take care of him. He really can't make decisions and support himself without his family's help. And that's why we're here today, is just to ask for help from the public for trying to locate not only Mr. Nelson, but also that bike that he's on. The bike that Mr. Nelson left on is very distinctive. It's a black and blue frame with royal blue wheels, and it's very distinctive. We've got pictures for you, and we really do hope that somebody in the public will recognize Mr. Nelson, recognize that bike, and dial 911 for us. We've had some sightings of Mr. Nelson already, but they haven't panned out. So we really are hopeful, and it's very important that we get this out there, because there's his family, and we are very concerned about him. So.
Given the cognitive issues, if anyone were to see or encounter him, how should they approach him?
The best thing to do is just keep him in sight and dial 911. This is a legitimate 911 call. This is what we're prepared to do. Everybody, including in surrounding counties, is aware that Mr. Nelson has been reported missing, that he does have cognitive issues, and we're prepared to approach him, in the guise of getting him some help. That's our goal.
You know how people are these days, if something's not really on their radar, they don't pay that much attention. They may seem like, but somebody else will call. What would you say to folks who just may think these things?
And that's come up already in this. And I can't stress enough that if you think this is that you see Mr. Nelson or see that bike, it's so important to give us that 911 call so we can go out there and verify if it's him or not. And like I said, this is a legitimate 911 call. We're very much aware, all of our officers are, all the officers in surrounding counties are, and prepared to go out there and approach and just ask him and make sure he's okay and try to identify the individual. We want to make sure that that he isn't in any type of need of anything and he's okay, and try to get him back with his family. And that's the ultimate goal.
I figure it's probably in the person, but can you give us at least a physical description of him?
Absolutely. Mr. Nelson is a black male, dark skin. He has a short haircut, has some facial hair. He's 5'1", 135 pounds. We know that he was last seen wearing a royal blue baseball cap, a royal blue shirt, and jeans. And again, that bike is a very distinctive bike. It's the black and blue frame with those royal blue tires. So it very much stands out. So if anybody sees that, we're just asking, hoping that you'll call 911 and try to get us, so we can get him back to his family.
Super question to have you verbalize it for us. How grateful would the family be to hear from you?
Oh, they would be extremely grateful. There is a lot of concern with the family. Mr. Nelson was living apart from his family for a number of years. He's recently been reunited with them, and he's only been in Charlotte for about a month. And his family's extremely concerned. The fact that he needs constant supervision and assistance in his daily life, they are very concerned, and they're just begging for help right now.
know if our family listening again?
It was on July 2nd around 2 p.m. in the afternoon when he left out. And again, that sighting, we have him at, again, at Fairview Road and Barclay Downs at about 2:30 p.m. on July 2nd during the afternoon. And we confirmed that sighting, but you know, from there we have no idea where he went to or where he was going. Mr. Nelson also has a prosthetic lower right leg. He's an avid bicycle rider. He gets around very well, but his very distinctive heavy-footed gait that he has, and he does have a prosthetic leg. But again, you know, anything that you guys could do, we really do appreciate it.
Younger age range, middle age?
He's a 38-year-old male, 38.
Yeah, I guess if you could talk about what you guys do on your side just to try to help find these missing.
So our initial response was doing a search of the apartment building grounds, looking out for him. We put out the audible APBs for him based on the description we get from the family, and then we go a step further and put out the pictures that we get so that our officers have those pictures in his hands. Next, you know, we realized the seriousness and made sure we went ahead and did an initial media release on him on the 3rd when we started working on this case. And then we also have implemented a silver alert also, just to try to get the exposure out there, get his picture out there, so that you know, if anybody sees him, they'll understand that, you know, we really do want, you know, 911 to be called, get some medic out there so they can make sure he's okay and get him back with his family.
Thank y'all very much. And then if y'all have not received the photo of the bike or